This is the 2012 Ford Fiesta. It's a subcompact car that slots in under the Focus in Ford's lineup. As such, it's Ford's cheapest and smallest car that they've got. Ford offers this car as a sedan or a hatchback. We've got the hatchback, and I think it looks better and it's more practical than the sedan. We've got room for 5 passengers in here, although the rear seat's a little bit of a squeeze. Of course, we can throw these seats down here and expand the room a lot. Inside the Fiesta, we have a monochrome display here, much bigger than a standard radio display, but it does not have navigation. Navigation in this car only comes through the Sync TDI, which is called Traffic Directions and Information, and that'll give you turn-by-turn direction. But Sync does permit us to connect phones via Bluetooth and MP3 players via this USB port here. So right now I've got an iPhone hooked up to that USB, so I can use Sync's voice command to call up any artist from my music library.
USB, please say a command.
Play artist, geographer.
Playing artist, geographer.
You can also use the buttons on the dashboard to find your way through a music library. You know, this is just not really a convenient way or a good way while you're driving down the road. Sync also offers app integration with your smartphone. We have a separate video and you can get a detailed look at that. Just search for Ford Sync mobile apps on CNET TV. Music coming out of this stereo will play through a very simple audio system, but it's an above average sounding system because it has these tweeters in the doors and they shoot straight across the cabin here, and that adds a nice, crisp, detailed element to the sound. Under the hood we have this 1.6 liter engine. It's sitting sideways so it can turn those front wheels. It's a small engine, but it produces 120 horsepower, which is not bad for this little car. And that small size also means decent fuel economy. The EPA ratings are 29 miles per gallon city, 39 miles per gallon highway. Now let's go take a drive and see how this thing handles. The Ford Fiesta comes base with a 5-speed manual transmission. Now we have this 6-speed dual clutch transmission, so I put it in drive. There's not a lot of creep. It starts to move a little bit, but you really have to give it gas to get going as opposed to a standard torque converter automatic. It has a low range, you can put it in that, and this low range is really aggressive. It lets the RPMs rise really high, and you really hear that too. I think it comes from the European design that the sound, it's a little harsher. It seems a little louder, a little harder ride than you'd expect from an American car. And a lot of Americans might drive this and think, oh, it feels kind of cheap. It kind of feels, harsh. But it's also designed to be a little more maneuverable. That suspension that makes it a little tougher is also more rigid. So I feel a lot of the road coming through it, and the steering, which is also electrically power boosted steering, feels a little more responsive. Overall, I like the feeling of this car, the way it handles. It can feel a little twitchy, but it definitely feels very connected with the road. It feels like you're driving. The base model of the 2012 Ford Fiesta goes for about $16,000. We had the SES trim, which goes for $17,500. That comes standard with Sync, so there's not a lot you need to option up in this car. The dual clutch automated manual transmission I showed you goes for $10,995. That'll bump the price up to over $18,500. There's a lot of competition in the subcompact space. Cars with softer rides may be a little more comfortable than the Ford Fiesta, but I really like Sync, and I think that gives the Fiesta a bit of an edge.